Hello everyone, it's Alex from the 69 Sniffing Brigade and Dark Star Coalition. We're continuing our series of interviews with Ukrainian defence tech businesses, and today I'm delighted to present to you all Misha, who is co-founder of Himera. Misha, how are you, mate?
Hello, pleasure.
So, in this war that's become probably one of the most technologically advanced wars that's ever been fought, would you agree with that?
In some terms, it is the most advanced. In some terms, it's very close to something you would see in the first and second. It's all over, I would say. But some of the things we use in the Ukrainian war and some of the tactics are something that never been done before, never been used before.
I think Zelensky said it once, didn't he, in an interview? It's like World War I, but with robots, or something with his line, I think it was. And your company that you co-founded does something a little bit different than just the sort of the drones that everyone is probably most commenting about. So perhaps you could just start just by explaining what is it that Himera does and what do I have in my hand here?
So Himera does tactical communication systems. At the core of it is our handheld radios. Very easy explanation of what it is a military walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
If to simplify, but in general, it is a communication solution. It's a number of products that all together create a communication system that on one side needs to be easy to use, just resilient and adaptive to a lot of existing technologies, supporting IP traffic, being able to transfer voice, data, images, video, telemetry, etc. But on the other side, doing that while have low probability of detection by electronic reconnaissance system, low probability of interception, and low probability of jamming by electronic warfare systems. So it needs to do both things good enough. It is in combination allows users at the battlefield to know that whenever they need, at whatever situation, in the most complex, harsh situations, both in the real world and in a kind of radio spectrum, they will know that they will be able to transfer the message and receive the information they need.
Hi, mate.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. So what we can do with these, Misha, right, if I'm correct, is I can just talk to it like this, right? So I can be like, copy. But also you would actually, you can also connect a headset here, is that right?
Yes, you can connect a headset, you can connect a data cord, a charger, and different adapters for different reasons.
Got it. And the actual device itself has got, and this is not a technical term, right? But hardcore encryption. Let's
call it a hardcore encryption. Encryption that is just what the military prefers and wants.
Yeah, because one of the things that can happen on the front line where people are like just using radios of all different types is I can intercept those radio messages, and that's very dangerous for troops. Very good for the Ukrainians when they're intercepting the Russians, but for the Ukrainian forces we want to be able to talk without anyone listening in.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's cool to the design of this product.
Yeah, it does it through encryption, it does it through frequency hopping and mesh networking. So it has a number of features that allow it to have low probability of detection, low probability of interception, and low probability of jamming. And
I would, if I was using this, would I just be talking like this, going, hello, mate? Or would I plug a headset in here?
It's almost never you would be doing it like this. You would usually have the radio here.
Yeah.
If you don't use it with the audio piece, you would have it right here and you would talk like this. 1, 2, 3.
Got it.
Or if you use it with audio piece, then you would put it either here or actually on the back very often.
Yeah.
And then you would have a cord with going to your earphones or active earpiece or something like this.
And just so people watching, you wouldn't. It would always be a wired connection. Yeah. You wouldn't have
to audio piece.
Yeah.
You wouldn't connect through Bluetooth.
Exactly, because that again then would create the ability for that to be intercepted, yeah? So it has to be a hardware signal chain, basically. Yeah, very cool. So, again, I might just get some, actually. I might just...
Definitely get it for the Ukrainian Defense Forces.
Oh, yes, we could do a fundraiser, can't we? Yes, they're always in need. Yeah, let's do that. Well, brilliant. What a great bit of technology. Ukrainian made. How did it come about? Where did this start, the journey for you?
The start for Himera was very much in the early weeks of the full-scale invasion. We're still actually trying with co-founders to find that day when it was the first kind of when the first specification was written for Himera. But it started with my co-founder going into territorial defense in Kiev. He saw firsthand the issues that were experienced by Ukrainian defense forces with comms, and he thought it doesn't seem like it's such a hard issue. And every startup starts with, we don't do it because it's easy, because we thought it's going to be easy. So very much was his take that it doesn't seem like that's such a hard issue to resolve. And then he went to build the first prototype. When it started to kind of come about to be something that seems feasible, he invited me and another of my co-founders to build what Himera has become over the last 2.5 years.
Is this something you've done before? For people that are watching, they've met you for the first time. Are you a guy that understands radios or tech? Who's Misha?
I think if you take three of us as co-founders, it almost seems like we specifically were learning what we were doing to build Himera. Yeah. Because Alex, who is the co-founder who came up with the idea of Himera, built hardware R&D for 20 years, built projects in Ukraine, around the world, as a CTO or as the outsource company. So we learned a lot of different variations, a lot of different tech, specifically a lot in comms, mostly in civil kind of commercial comms, but what appeared is that there's not such a huge difference. It is a steep learning curve, but you get through it. Another one of my co-founders built supply chain and manufacturing around the world in Central Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, China, and understands how to build resilient, fast supply chains and efficient, effective manufacturing. I myself, before that, my first startup that I co-founded also was in hardware, was in like 4G modems market. After that, I went more kind of deep tech in aerospace industry, and that's something I've been doing up until the beginning of the full-scale invasion. The company called Promin Aerospace is actually still operational. I kind of come out the operations a bit, still involved, but with almost all of my effort currently on Himera. Us together bringing all that expertise allowed us to move with Himera at a very rapid pace.
And where have you got to with Himera now? So it was from the early days of the full-scale invasion to, I guess, the product I'm holding. What's that journey been?
It was definitely met with a lot of disbelief from most of the stakeholders we were working with, because of how there are a lot of why there are so many uncrewed system manufacturers in Ukraine, drones, right? Drone manufacturers. Why are there so many electronic warfare manufacturers in Ukraine? Because there was nothing before that would be at the same time supplied in enough quantities, or pretty much in any quantities, but also had any relevancy at the battlefield. Comms is one of those very standard niches in the defense industry. So there was something. There were systems used in Ukraine. There were systems used globally, and most of those companies are multi-billion-dollar international conglomerates. So the belief was like it's not something you can battle. It's not something you can potentially compete with. And so we didn't really listen to anyone. We built our first product, which was Himera G1. We launched it commercially available to the users in Ukrainian Defense Forces in April 2023. Or a bit more than a year, we sold almost 5,000 of those devices into every type of combat unit in Ukrainian Defense Forces. We have users in armed forces, territorial defense, special operation forces, General Directorate of Intelligence, National Guard, Border Guard, Air Reconnaissance, Marines, special units of the security service of Ukraine, national police, probably missed somebody, but most likely they're also using it. And so just very recently this summer, we launched Himera G1 Pro, which was what's supposed to be, it was what G1 was supposed to be.
Right.
But if we had more time and money to do that. So G1 Pro is basically, that's why for a while we were calling it G2, and some people still kind of remember, oh, like this is G2. Like we figured that it's not a new generation, it's more of what was supposed to be G1 if we didn't need to be in a hurry launching it as soon as possible. So G1 Pro already received NATO stock numbers, Ukraine stock numbers, as the product that can be sold to the ministries of defense, and it's something that is going en masse to the battlefield already, and probably, and we hope will be a primary means of communication in the Ukrainian Defense Forces very soon.
So if I understand right, it's a market that's dominated by major players,
yes,
primes, etc. But you still managed to create a product in a very short space of time, and have now got traction across pretty much all the institutes and organisations within Ukraine.
Yes.
And like, what do you think? What's been that success? Like, why? Like, how did you do that?
Because probably we didn't know what's right. Like we'd have nobody from the co-founders, and really still for most of the team has any real military experience specifically connected to comms. We didn't really know how a military tactical radio needs to look like, to work like. We built it from our background in kind of commercial, consumer tech, some B2B hardware. We built the radio that we thought needed to be used by our users at the battlefield, that we talk with, our friends, our family, somebody that we knew through those connections. And we first built the radio that is something that we thought is needed, without at all understanding how the entire comms in the military works. Which on one side, we didn't really do a lot of things that were really fairly needed to be procured by the government, for example, but also made a radio that is simpler to use, that is more efficient, that has much better battery life, that is much lighter, smaller, has a lot of the interesting characteristics and features that just don't exist in our competitors, because we didn't follow any rules from like NATO or Ukraine on how the tactical radio needs to work and look and what features needs to have. So because of that, because we didn't know what's right, we just basically made it the way we thought is right, and that allowed us to really stand out from most of the competitors and have a product that is fairly distinctly different from a lot of the existing solutions.
And I guess because of the war, you were able to get rapid user feedback as well. And
of course, that's a very unique position we're in. Anything we do, next day is already pretty much like previous day. Everyone is like, we cannot launch features and hardware fast enough for people to be happy with how fast we're launching it. They want all of the things we've been working on the thing for 3 months, we're launching it, like, oh, it should have been there 6 months ago. And anything we do next day is already tested at the battlefield. A week later, we receive very honest feedback, and that's a very important thing. In defense, it's very hard to receive honest feedback. Very often, you make a product, you get codes, you sell it to the government, and then a couple of years later, it's some military conflict, you finally get information if it's actually viable at the battlefield or not. Here, we've been doing it since the first prototype. So the moment we were able to put some hardware in some case, we were able to receive feedback. At the beginning, most of it was obviously bad, and then with time, we started to get more and more good. Now, most of the feedback is good, a little bit is bad, but we very much cherish that bad feedback because we can learn from it and make a better product. And this way we can keep and that's a very important thing that differentiates, for example, a lot of what manufacturers in Ukraine do from a lot of, for example, NATO manufacturers in the defense industry, is that we don't need to do the best ever product, because the best ever product most likely is going to be by an order of magnitude or more expensive and harder to scale because you work at frontier. If you know what exactly is needed, you don't need to overdo things. You make something that is just right, good enough, just at the right level of features, of functionality, and so on. But then because of that, you can make a product that is, 10 times cheaper or 20 times, 30 times cheaper, and then very, very, very scalable. It actually matters more, because you have a great drone, but you can only make one of those a year, or you have a very good drone, just a bit worse than great, but you can make 100 of those. Obviously, second is better.
Yeah.
Because one drone is just not going to cut it. The same with radios.
But I think that's the unique circumstances that war creates, doesn't it? In a market like, so I've got a tech startup in the UK that sells to the public sector, for example, but it's super slow because there's no urgency, there's no real need to change or to innovate or to do something new. Whereas here in Ukraine, where we're fighting a very strong enemy, that pace of wanting to procure something that just works good enough, right, is super high. And I think that's one of the most amazing things here, is that there are so many bright people like you and your team that have been able to go into an industry that they know nothing about, but approach it in the right way and instantly make something that's practical and scale it. But on that journey, how easy was it to, for example, get the money together to be able to fund it?
We did start with our own kind of money, and then good relationship with the R&D team that we were working with. We started the company with the people that we've been working for a long period of time. We had the expertise needed to build the prototypes, to build the first products. But yeah, we received first outside funds investment already after we launched the first commercial product. So we launched the first kind of Himera G1 was launched into sales before any outside funding. But then obviously after that we're already currently doing a third round of fundraising to kind of scale up that growth and launch G1 Pro, launch all the periphery products, making Himera a tactical communication system.
Got it. And we, yesterday we were at Defence Valley, big defence event here, and the week before you were at IT Arena, and yesterday there was a lot of people at that event. So how are you seeing the whole industry as a whole in Ukraine change, if it has changed from when you started?
I think I've been saying about this very often. There is a thing that a lot of the Ukrainian manufacturers have been doing, and that's what I like this year, is that they're stopping to do that.
Right.
And the thing is, everyone was trying to do everything. There are companies, defense companies in Ukraine that are trying to do every version of a drone. They will do their own comms, their own cameras, their own EW, electronic warfare system. They'll try to do everything. And it's bad for two reasons. One, you cannot be great at everything, specifically if you're a company that is 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
If you're a 40-year-old company, you might have grown this niche and that niche and that niche, but you cannot be very great. And second thing, we pulling limited talent from each other. Yeah. So if there are 50 companies doing comms, it's hard to do the best comms that will be used by everyone, because if I focus, and that's what we do in Himera, we've been asked, are you planning to do drones? Are you planning to do EW systems? I said no, we want to focus on comms, different variations, both tactical, both for uncrewed systems, different versions, but still at the core we are a company doing communications, and we want to do best communication solutions. And if other companies that do drones wouldn't do their comms, we would be able to have that talent, and build better comms for all the other manufacturers. Yeah. And what I like this year, what I saw at the events with being, there are more and more companies doing small, more niche products that will go and be used by everyone. There are camera manufacturers, there are subsystem manufacturers, there are controls for drones manufacturers, there are comms manufacturers, so on. And what I like about that is that then you have a good number for competition. There are 3 to 10 companies in certain niches competing. Yeah. Trying to make a better product, and then everyone benefits from that. But then, and I also like that some of those bigger kind of drone companies actually stopped themselves doing those subsystems and allowed other companies that are specialized in that to kind of get better talent in their teams. So that's, I think, that what I saw more of. I don't say it's already resolved. There's still, a lot of companies doing same thing and trying to do everything. But compared to a year ago, I think it's getting better.
Because that is the challenge, isn't it? As the industry matures and more funding comes into it, and companies are looking to scale, having a skill shortage or the talent pool is one of the big challenges. In your experience, what are the other problems that Ukraine Defence Tech's facing in its ability to grow, not just to support Ukraine, but also to become a strong industry for the country in the future?
I wouldn't say it's specifically a problem. It's more of it's something to deal with. I would say in Himera we've been very much on top of our talent needs. We didn't really see any big issues, but it's for a reason because we're a good employer. We pay good salaries. We have also a very interesting company to work in. People who we hire specifically in our R&D team probably are working on the most interesting project they might work in Ukraine currently, with the task we can give them and the depths of the kind of knowledge they need to have to resolve those issues. So it's an interesting that we have very interesting tasks for engineers. If we're talking about something else, I don't think I will say anything very unique. Export is one thing that will help, bring taxes into Ukraine, but bring foreign currencies into Ukraine. It allows Ukrainian companies to have stable operations. Then when Ukraine actually wants to buy your product, you don't need to start from scratch. You actually already have been selling for a while to a number of countries globally. Yeah. And then, if you do 10,000 pieces of something for global market and the country says we need 1,000 you'll say, okay, next month I'll give you 1,000. I already have everything needed. I need to scale a bit. If you do, 10 pieces because some military support fund buys it from you, and then your government comes and says, oh, we need 1,000. You're like, okay, I need some time to grow up and, scale my operations. I think there definitely needs to be a clear structure of the entire, keeping your employees from being pulled into military. Yeah. There needs to be some clarification and optimization of that process. We either want our own defense tech and good products to go into military or we don't. And if we want, we need to have a clear way of keeping the employees. And even I think sometimes pulling some of the really good talent from the military that been pulled before, and that now with the shortage of the talent is in the military, probably doing something useful, but can potentially be doing something even more useful if pulled. And it doesn't mean they need to be, demobilized and basically pulled out of the military completely, but at least put to work in the private industry. And that's something I also think is a very good idea. And I think the last topic on this specific question would be allowing, but it's something that has already been going on, is resolving the issue of the lack of funding in the Ukrainian MOD. One, it's actually going to be partially resolved by my first answer, export, which will bring a lot of cash into Ukraine, but also by allowing and working on getting money from other countries to procure Ukrainian products in certain niches where Ukrainian products actually show, vastly better return on investment. I think a really good idea is to bring that, allied kind of cash to buy Ukrainian products for Ukrainian military.
I think they're trying, aren't they?
Yes.
With Zabroy, aren't they, in strategic industries? I think Ukraine's ready. It's convincing the Western partners to invest at scale, and that being mutually beneficial, because that's the challenge, isn't it, with anything like this, is in the defense industry, it makes a lot of money for your country and the companies within it. So take the UK or take the US, we are more than happy to help, but it's more in our interest to spend that money on a UK prime than it is to just give cash that goes into a Ukrainian business. And that is almost the balance, isn't it, here, that everyone wants to help Ukraine, but they want to do it so it's mutually beneficial for their own nations and tax as well. And I hope that balance can hopefully go a little bit more Ukraine's way, and actually the money goes into that fund.
I support this message.
I bet. And long term, Misha, like what's going to happen once we've won the war? Does this carry on? Does this become a global Ukrainian telecoms product? You know, competing with the likes of Harris and etc.
Very much, yeah. That's what we're building for. We want this to be a communication solution used by the best and biggest parts of the defense forces of the world. We want this to be used by liberal democracies around the world to protect the way of living, the way we're fighting in Ukraine. We want the instrument that we build in Ukraine by fighting Russia to be used by our allies and partners around the world to do the same.
Do you get any time to relax?
I did have the first vacation last month in 2.5 years, something that I would officially be able to call vacation. And after 3 days of being at a vacation, I was in my tent at the kind of Dnieper River, near Dnieper River. And after 3 days of the vacation, I was lying near my tent, and I'm like, at that moment of full relaxation, I started thinking about work.
Perfect. So you managed 72 hours.
Yes, approximately.
Before getting back to it.
Yes. I got bored, and I'm like, nah, I need to get back to work.
And that's it, though. I think again, because of the pressure of the Russian invasion, it's 24/7 here, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Like, be it for the soldiers on the front line, but
we're
also
filming this on Saturday, so
exactly. Like, right, this is a weekend. And then you're off after this to another meeting.
Yes.
We've got meetings all afternoon, and it's a really unique operating environment that. There's no weekend or days. There's just days and hours when you do stuff, right?
I am going to a party after all those meetings, so there is some balance.
There is, but even then there's military curfew, right? So there's no like all night partying anymore.
I mean, at homes.
Huh?
At homes.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I need to. Where's my invite? Do you have traction for this, like internationally then? Like, do you think if everything changed that we just described, export, blah, 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 that you would be able to be growing much faster?
Yes, we were in talks with a number of countries in NATO and outside of NATO that are interested in these products. You mentioned yourself, it is a much longer procurement cycle and everything than in Ukraine. So it's not that we plan to have some sales tomorrow outside of Ukraine, but we have a good interest and good understanding of what we need to do more to be present there. We also had some tests with one of the NATO militaries, and seems like they're quite happy, and we hope to move forward with it. So sooner or later we definitely expect to have good traction and good sales outside of Ukraine. And to be honest, our goal with this, as you mentioned, with your government in Ukraine, is you wanted that balance. For me, with the price and with the operations I can build to sell globally, I know that I can provide a better product at higher scale in Ukraine, and that I would say is also my kind of primary goal with selling globally, is to be able to provide for a better price, a better product at higher scale in Ukraine.
Thank you. So if people watching this want to learn a bit more about the product, they can, Himera is the company name.
Yes.
They'll be watching this video, so it'll probably pop up along the bottom of the screen here. So you can go on and they can check out the products there, can't they? I think you're doing fundraising at the moment, did you say as well?
Yeah, we do. We fundraising. We're doing our third investment round currently to grow the company.
Well done, mate. It's cool to see a product made that is quite a specialised niche by people that know what they're doing but haven't made something like this before. So you've rapidly done it and hopefully created something that's disruptive and that can help Ukraine rebuild economically, which is going to need a lot of significant help with, and these innovations in defence is going to be one of the ways that we can have the money in the country to restore it, but also help keep the rest of the world safe by buying quality products at a disruptively low price compared to the expensive stuff that we're very used to buying in this industry.
Correct.
So long may it continue. Great work.
Thank you.
And thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do check out Misha and the work at Himera, and we'll be back soon with another interview, hopefully showcasing some of the other brilliant defense technology that's made in Ukraine. So, buy Ukrainian.
Hello. Hello. Hola. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Salut. Hello. Sveiki.
Hello.